Back on Saturday at Port Royal for their season opener, Anthony Macri got around Brock Zierfoss inside 10 to go and drove on to the victory. In the story of Macri's 2025 season, this feels like it could be a very pivotal moment. The Port race was one that Macri wasn't even originally scheduled to be at. When the team shared their 2025 slate back in January, they had planned on racing with the World of Outlaws through the Arrowhead Speedway weekend in early April, before then heading back to Central PA. But the opening 6 weeks of the season had not gone well for Macri and the 39M team, and they were looking for a change. From Volusia in February through Magnolia in March, the team raced 9 times and picked up just 2 top 10 finishes. Their average finish over that stretch was an incredibly pedestrian 16.9. That span included 5 finishes outside the top 15. Even a trip home to Central PA to run the icebreaker at Lincoln was not what they were looking for. Lincoln, a track that Macri has won at a lot, including with the Outlaws, but all they could manage in that race was 10th. The 39M was in the midst of one of their worst runs of performances in really a couple of years. This team, usually one of the top sprint car teams in the country, they won 15 races in 2024. At Kennedale in Texas with the Outlaws a few weeks ago, Macri and crew chief Joe Mooney decided they'd had enough. Macri shared with Jeremy Elliott they pulled down their second car in the trailer and went racing with it instead. The car they had been using was one that had previously been repaired, and maybe something wasn't right with it. Things were immediately better. Macri went out that night, went quick time on that Friday, finished 8th in the feature after a dash appearance. He backed it up with another top 10 on Saturday. And then, instead of staying on the road, the team came back home to PA and really got the boost they were looking for, driving from 7th on the starting grid to the victory on Saturday. Macri admitted to Jeremy that things were really looking down and that this Port race felt like a must-win situation. I think it's an interesting illustration of how quickly things can go south and how difficult the sprint car game is. The 39M, it wasn't terrible against the Outlaws in those early races. They had some decent speed in qualifying. They were heat racing okay. It would have been enough to fool the team into thinking maybe things were okay with that car. But then the speed, it just wasn't there in the features. Now, though, to see what they've done in 3 races on a different car, clearly that other piece has some problems, and that was what was hurting them. That's a mind frick and a half here. You hear all the time about drivers having favorite cars, and that even off the same jig, certain cars are just better than others. And with a repaired piece, who knows if maybe something isn't quite straight or it doesn't flex the same as it used to. But it's easy to see why teams can get into these pits of despair, and it can be tough to find your way out. I'd put good money down that these 3 races between Kennedale and Port, they're going to be a significant turning point in the year for Macri and Mooney.